Hi everyone, my name is Crystal Solis, and today I will be presenting our group project on behalf of Amanda Howard, Justin Mathis, Raylan Matthews, Joshua Gates, and myself. So our project will be discussing the effectiveness of online education within higher education. So we're focusing on specifically graduate programs and college courses. Specifically, we wanted to explore how engagement, time management, and course completion can serve as major predictors of a student's success. This is especially relevant today with the shift towards online learning after 2019, 2020, really after the pandemic. It's not just about the convenience of an online course, but it's whether or not the online education can actually support students in the same way that traditional classroom learning does. So, taking a look at past research, like all research, our study builds on past work. For example, Macblea and Aliyah in 2021 evaluated students' online learning during COVID-19, as I mentioned earlier, and they found that while students really appreciated the flexibility, that many struggled with focus, stress, and engagement. I know me, myself, and lots of my team, when we discussed this, also had struggles focusing on online courses after the pandemic. So another study by Siddiqui and their colleagues in 2022 created a student engagement scale to measure behavioral, emotional, and cognitive engagement. So in contrast to the first study, we see that there was actually a scale that was used in regard to the cognitive, emotional, and behavior that we saw in the students. Harvard Online also documented a decade of innovation in online learning, including their global reach through Education X and improvements in their online platforms. So this is where we pulled our past research from, and this review of past research really highlights a knowledge gap. So while we do know a lot about the challenges in innovation, there's less focus on whether engagement, time management, and completion specifically predict success. And that's the gap our study is hoping to address. So the purpose statement and research questions. The purpose of our proposed study is to assess the effectiveness of online education in higher education, as I previously mentioned. So we're asking, does online education actually help students succeed? Can it improve engagement, time management, and course completion rates? This connects with what we've learned this semester about the process of inquiry. Research isn't just about gathering facts, it's a systematic process of asking real and clear questions, planning how to gather the data, and then interpreting the results, which is much of what we've done within our project. Our goal here is to not only answer the big question, but to break it down into sub-questions that help us reach even more meaningful conclusions. So we went ahead and developed 3 research questions. That being, does participation in online education lead to higher levels of student engagement compared to traditional learning? Does online education improve students' time management skills? And finally, is online education associated with higher course completion rates? These questions represent a deductive reasoning approach. We're starting with what researchers already suggest, and then testing it with measurable data. This helps ensure that our study is clear, logical, and grounded. So we're going to be moving on to methodology brainstorm. So for our methodology, we chose a quantitative design. So we plan on using online surveys, drawing from established scales like the student engagement scale that I had mentioned earlier, and the time management portion of the MSLQ. This allows us to measure behavioral, emotional, cognitive, and social aspects of learning. We'd also use the LMS analytics data from systems like Canvas or Blackboard. Things like login frequency, discussion posts, and assignment submission time gives us a picture of student activity. So I know in past online courses, this has not even been a requirement, and in the last few years, we've seen more and more incorporation of this at campuses. So we definitely would want to look into that. And finally, we would compare course completion rates between online learners and traditional learners using registrar data. So our target sample would be undergraduates and graduate students enrolled in online courses. This would be the right population to help us understand whether online education is supporting success across higher education. And since, of course, we're working with student participants, we'd want to follow ethical guidelines, keeping surveys anonymous, voluntary, and protecting their student privacy. As we've learned this semester, ethical research isn't just about following rules, it's about trust, doing no harm, and ensuring integrity within the research process. So, what comes next? Looking at the future direction and implications. Future research should investigate causal relationships between predictors and outcomes. For example, does good time management directly cause higher completion, or is it just correlated with it? Next, research should look at context, course design, instructor presence, and student demographics, since these all influence the online learning experience. And finally, students should look beyond grades to student satisfaction and skill development. So, are students staying enrolled? Are they recommending the courses to others, which is huge? Are they gaining real-world skills like communication, problem solving, and digital literacy? This reflects what we've learned in class. The research process is iterative and cyclical. Answering one question often leads to more questions. Our study is not the finish line, but a step towards deeper inquiry into online learning. These are our references. These are the sources that guided this entire project. Each one of these contributed to shaping our questions and methods, and together they helped us build the foundation for this study. So while we did not list every single reference that gathered lots of our insight, these are the foundations of lots of our findings. So they also remind us that good research doesn't just stand alone. It always connects back to what's been done before. And we can't frame new thoughts without looking at old ones. So to wrap it up, online learning isn't just about flexibility, it's about effectiveness. By studying engagement, time management, and course completion, we can better understand whether online education really does support student success. This project is a direct example of applied research. It has immediate relevance to current practices within higher education, and it can inform decisions about course design and student support. Thank you so much, and I hope that you leave any of your comments or concerns or questions down in the comments below.